Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where and when you are joining us. I am your host, Katie Milton Jordan, and we are here for the Tiny Experiments AI action class. A big thank you to Donna, who invited her colleagues from the Nest Labs community to join us today. And a big thank you to Donna for requesting that Tiny Experiments be our book club pick for the month of February. A few housekeeping items before we jump in. If you are not actively speaking, please go ahead and mute yourself in the background just so we don't have too many noise distractions. And also, please open up your preferred LLM because we will be working in the preferred LLM. And I'm going to get us started. All right. So, Tiny Experiments AI Action Class. This is workshop 1 of 4. The author is Anne-Laure Lecomte. She is a neuroscientist, author, founder of Nest Labs. And she wrote the book Tiny Experiments. So if you haven't already purchased a copy or read a copy, I encourage you to do that. And also check out her online community, Nest Labs. She's got a really great group of people doing some really amazing things. So check that out if this is new to you. Today's workshop is going to follow this very simple agenda. So we're going to follow a very simple agenda. We've got a welcome. Then we are going to take a look at the AI workflow. Then we're going to have an opportunity to do a hands-on exercise. And I will let you guys know that there are probably some learners in this community that prefer to do the exercise right alongside me. You're going to have an opportunity to do that. And there may be some learners in this community that prefer to watch the demonstration first and then do the workflow after the workshop. That is completely okay as well. You guys know your learning style better than I do, so I'm going to invite you to self-manage. You guys decide how you want to do this, if you just want to watch this or if you want to run the workflow the same time that I do, you'll be able to do that. That will be during our hands-on exercise portion. And then near the end of the hour, we are going to come back together in community to reflect and discuss our experience and share insights and feedback. So if you're seeing an AI action class for the first time, you might be wondering, what in the heck is an AI action class? Well, this is a fantastic thing. And thankfully, due to AI, we are now able to customize and personalize education at scale. And we now have the ability to take any business or personal development book and turn it into an AI action class where we accomplish 3 things as we work through the AI action class. We learn the concepts in the book. The AI workflow teaches you the book's ideas as you work through each step. You also have an opportunity to gain AI fluency because you practice the prompting and conversing and directing an AI partner in real time. We call it learning by doing with AI. And the third benefit is that we're actually going to create a deliverable. When you finish the workshop today, you are going to walk away with a tangible output that you can use in your life or business immediately. This AI action class agenda and flow and concept is going to be the way that we run all 4 workshops in this series. And today is workshop 1 of 4. Here at a glance are our 4 workshops and our 4 deliverables. And give me just a moment. I see that we've got some chat going on that I want to address quickly. Okay. Yes, please mute if you haven't already done so. Donna, still hearing background noise. Let me see if I have the ability to mass mute. Mass mute. Let's see if we can do this. And thank you guys for your patience. I'm working with a new platform that I'm still learning all the buttons. Okay, let's see if we can in the chat. Yes, thank you, Karen. Yes, can you manually mute everyone? That's what I'm trying to do. One moment, please. I am having a hard time finding a manual mute button for everybody. Mute all. Ha! Success! All right, there we go. Tiny experiment right there. I found it. Success. Wonderful. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your patience and graciousness while I worked through that. Yes, that is much better. Okay, so back to our presentations. Let's take a look at what we're going to cover in these 4 workshops. So in the 4 workshops, today is workshop 1. We're going to go from rigid goals to experimental. Oh, my slide's getting too excited. Wants to move on. We're going to go from rigid goals to experimental mindsets. We're going to shift from linear goal setting to an adaptive, experiment-driven approach. So the key topics that we're going to cover in today's workflow are limitations of linear planning, uncertainty as expanded possibility, experimental mindset principles, why traditional goals fail us. And so the deliverable that we're going to be creating in today's workshop is a mindset audit, an assessment of planning rigidity versus adaptability with shift opportunities. In workshop 2, which will happen next Thursday at this same time on this same channel, we will be uncovering your invisible scripts, and the deliverable is an invisible scripts inventory. Workshop 3 is designing your tiny experiments, and we will create a tiny experiment design canvas. And workshop 4 will be building growth loops and pack systems. So a personal growth loop framework, which is a system for ongoing experiments and 90-day packs. So that's what we're going to be covering in the next 4 weeks. We hope that everybody can join us live. And if you cannot, these replays will be sent out via email and hosted on my YouTube channel. So let's take a quick look here at what is an AI workflow. Now, if you've worked with AI before, you've probably heard this word, an AI workflow, or you've probably heard the word a long prompt. Now, I want to share with you that an AI workflow is a long prompt, but a long prompt isn't necessarily an AI workflow. So there's a couple differences between a long prompt and an AI workflow. So back to our AI workflow. On the screen is an illustration of an AI workflow. And one of the reasons that an AI workflow is different from a long prompt is because we bake in different steps. You can see right here, there's a step 1. You can see there's a step 2 right here. There's a step 3 right here. Here's a step 4. Here's a step 5. And in this workflow, we have 6 steps, right? And so we have programmed this AI workflow to go through these steps one at a time and to dynamically change its responses based on the context that you give the AI. We've also baked in a few guardrails into this AI workflow so that the AI doesn't go down, doesn't drag you down a rabbit hole, right? Everybody's worked with AI who said, oh, that was a wonderful idea. Would you like me to make you a PDF? How about an email follow-up letter? And we want to keep our hands on the wheel of the AI and not allow it to take us someplace that is going to be distracting. So we've baked that into our AI formula. Now on the screen, you're going to see a URL that is bit.ly/AI formula in all caps. I'm going to paste that in the chat because that is where everybody needs to go in order to access the tool that we are going to be using today. So bit.ly/AI formula. That is in the chat right now. And I'm going to show you on my screen what you're going to see when you go there. So when you hit that button, it's going to give you a prompt like this that says, do you really want to go to this link? You can say, yes, this is my public Google Drive. In here, there are a variety of different folders. What we want to do is we want to go to the folder that is named Tiny Experiments. That is where we are going to find today's workflow. Right here is today's workflow. Now, I don't want you to do anything with this just yet, but I want everybody to work on navigating there, especially if you want to run this prompt the same time that I am running it today. Now, we're going to take a closer look at this AI workflow. Whenever we look at an AI workflow, I always encourage folks to read the opening paragraph so we have some context about what we're going to be doing. So this AI workflow is saying we're asking the AI to ask as an expert in experimental mindset coaching, drawing on the principles from Anne-Laure Lecomte's Tiny Experiments. Your role is to guide me through creating a mindset audit, an assessment of my current planning rigidity, versus adaptability with identified shift opportunities. At each step, you will explain where we are in the process, ask for context to complete the next step, perform the action, confirm completion, and only then move on to the next step. The goal is to finish a completed mindset audit by the time we reach the final step. So let's take a look at our steps quickly, right? So the step 1, we're going to be mapping our current goals and plans. Step 2, we're going to be identifying your linear thinking patterns. Step 3, we're going to be assessing rigidity versus adaptability. Step 4, we're going to explore your relationship with uncertainty. Step 5, we're going to identify your shift opportunities. And step 6 is the final deliverable where we will receive the mindset audit. So now everybody has a little context for what we're going to be doing with AI, how we're going to be interacting with AI, and the goals that we are working towards. So the way that we apply this is you're going to have roughly the next 25 minutes to do the application exercise. I encourage you to work on your work. Bring a real challenge from your business or personal life instead of a hypothetical. We try to make sure that all the work that we do with AI has an economically valuable ROI or output at the end of it. And the best way to do that is to bring a real challenge instead of using synthetic data or hypothetical data. So use your actual goals, your real plans, your genuine uncertainties. That's how this works best. I also want to encourage you to learn and explore. This is your time to learn and explore not only AI, but also the concepts in the book Tiny Experiments. So if AI presents you with some information that you're curious about, feel free to follow that curiosity. Or if AI does something that you're curious about and it's not necessarily related to the concepts in the book, feel free to follow that curiosity and ask AI for more information. If you can't think of answers, ask the AI to help, and I will demonstrate that as we are running through the workflow today. AI can make suggestions based on what it knows about your situation, or you can ask AI for best practices if this is one of the first times you've ever worked with AI. If you get stuck, just speak to the AI as though you were giving instructions to an in-person assistant. So for example, you can say, "That's not what I had in mind. Can you please do this instead?" And know that I am here to help you get unstuck. And again, as a housekeeping reminder, it's just me doing the presentation and managing the technology and the chat. So if you do have a question, please save those for the end when we come back in community and we share feedback, insights, and Q&A. I won't be able to navigate the chat at the same time I'm doing the presentation. So thank you for your graciousness. Okay, no, that's not what we need to do. Now we are going to go into our public drive and we are going to take a look at our workflow. So here's the workflow that we just deconstructed. What we need to do is we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the workflow, and we want to copy all of this text in this document all the way to the top where it says run this workflow step by step. Now I'm going to be working in ChatGPT today. And in one moment, you will be able to see that on my screen. Okay, everybody can see my ChatGPT here, I hope. Yes, excellent. I see some heads nodding. Thank you. What we're going to do is now we need to paste this prompt in here. Now we've asked the AI to run this workflow step by step. Now this is where everybody in the audience, you have an opportunity to either watch me run the demo and you do the demo later, or you're welcome to watch me run the demo and do the steps right after I do. So I'm going to run this prompt in here, and the AI is going to give me a series of questions. So, hey, Boss Jordan, this is what AI calls me. I'm stepping in as your experimental mindset coach. Here's the core idea we're working from. This is straight out of the Tiny Experiments philosophy. Life is not actually a straight line, but most of us try to force it into one anyway. We create plans like if I just do A, then B, then C, I will arrive at get the life I want. The problem is that careers, creativity, reinvention, entrepreneurship, especially your kind of portfolio life, and AI is saying this because it actually knows me, right? I've been working with AI as my right hand for the last 2 to 3 years. So AI knows certain things about me. And it goes on to say, don't behave like train tracks. They behave like ecosystems. Discovery matters more than prediction, and sometimes over-planning quietly blocks progress. Instead of committing to rigid goals, the experimental mindset treats life more like a lab. You don't try to perfectly plan the future, you run small tests, and you learn your way forward. So what we're about to do is we're going to build a mindset audit together. Think of this as a diagnostic, not therapy, not productivity coaching, a strategic assessment of how your planning style is either helping or quietly constraining you. We'll go through 5 working stages plus a final synthesis. And we know what these steps are because we reviewed them when we took a look at the context going on in the AI. So before we begin, would you like a very short explanation of the experimental mindset concepts, the philosophy behind tiny experiments, or do you just want to jump straight into the audit? Now, I want to pause here and bring your attention to this paragraph right here, because at the beginning of the call, I made a pretty bold claim that some of you may be wondering about. With the advent of AI, we now have the ability to personalize and customize education at scale. And this paragraph right here is going to illustrate something powerful to you, because not only can we use these kind of workflows to learn concepts from our favorite business and personal development books, but we can also use it in our work life. So imagine if you had an AI workflow that was like this, that instructed your team how to do an SOP in your business, right? You could delegate that to a team member, and the AI workflow is going to say, would you like a very short explanation of the thing that you've never done before that your boss just delegated to you? It's a way that people on your team can learn this by doing it, even if they've never done it before. So I do want an explanation of the concepts in the book, because that is one of the things that we are here to leverage, right? So I'm going to ask the AI to give me a short explanation of the concepts in the book. So traditional planning assumes that you must know what you want before you start. The experimental mindset flips that. You discover what you want by starting. Instead of setting a big identity level goal, I will become X, or I must make this venture succeed, you run small, reversible tests that teach you something about yourself, your energy, and reality. A goal tries to prove you were right. An experiment tries to help you learn why this matters, especially for someone building multiple initiatives like you. Again, my AI knows me, which is why it's saying this type of language. And if you've run this same prompt that I provided to you in the public link, your AI may not say the exact same thing that's coming up on my screen. And again, that's evidence of AI being able to customize and personalize education at scale for all types of learners. And I do know that we have some fellow neurodivergent folks in the audience. I am one of you, neurospicy. You can even tell AI that you are neurospicy, and then the AI will interact with you in a way that is easier for your neurodivergent brain to understand and take action on. So back to where we were, why this matters, especially for someone building multiple initiatives like you. Rigid goals create psychological sunk cost. You keep pushing a direction because you've already invested in it. Experiments create informed direction. You pivot based on evidence, not willpower. Okay, now we're going to begin the audit. And I feel very seen by reading this, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, psychological sunk cost. I get it. So here's what we need to do in step 1. We need to map our current goals and plans. In this step, we're simply taking inventory. We're not judging, optimizing, or fixing anything yet. We're gathering the raw material that currently shapes your decisions, your calendar, and your mental load. This will later help us see where rigidity might be quietly operating. So I need a little context from you. What are 2 to 3 major goals or plans you're currently working towards? How did you arrive at these goals? And how long have you been pursuing each one? Now, if you are watching this demo, these are the 3 questions that I want you to think about how you might respond to. Feel free to jot them down on your desktop, wherever it's going to be helpful for you. But these are the 3 questions that you should be thinking about. 2 to 3 major goals. How did you arrive at these goals? And how long have you been pursuing each one? Now, I told you in the beginning of the call that I was going to demonstrate for you how I can ask AI for suggestions, right? Sometimes these questions feel a little bit heavy, like, oh my gosh, now I need to tell AI all my major goals. Like, where do I even start, right? And the mental load can be a bit of a heavy lift. But here's where humans plus AI work really well together. AI is very good at creating the first iteration of something, and humans are really great at editing something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the AI to answer these questions based on what it knows about me. Okay. So, and I'm also using a whisper tool to dictate to my computer to fill in this blank. I can share that tool with folks later in the call if you're interested, but you will see me demonstrate that now. Answer these questions based on what you know about me. Okay, and you can see that the Whisper tool has populated this in there. This is another productivity hack that can help me compress the amount of work I'm doing in a certain amount of time. If you haven't been working with AI for a long time and your AI doesn't have memories about you, you could also say, answer these questions based on best practices, right? So now AI is giving me this draft based on what I know about you, and then you can calibrate it. Right? This feels a little bit like a parent with a toddler who is in public and you're like, gosh, is my kid going to say something that makes me embarrassed, right? Is the AI going to say something that makes me embarrassed? I don't know. I don't know what it says. So based on your recent work, positioning, and strategic direction, here are the 3 major goals currently shaping your landscape. Establish Simple EDO AI, AI Performance School, build and monetize the Townie ecosystem, achieve financial stabilization and asset repositioning, and early observations, preliminary, not conclusions yet. Goal 1 appeals to be identity integrated and strategic. Goal 2 feels creative, but maybe drifting towards performance pressure. Goal 3 contains emotional weight and timeline sensitivity. There is significant portfolio complexity. You are not pursuing a linear ladder. You're building an ecosystem. So does this accurately capture your current goal landscape? I'm actually going to add some health goals in here, right? So the AI didn't get everything that I wanted in here, so I'm going to ask it to make some changes. Yes, I would also like to incorporate more healthy activities and lifestyle into the work that I'm doing for increased productivity, profitability, and peace. Those are my 3 favorite P's. So we're going to put that in there and ask AI to restate that goal. Okay, so here's our updated current goals. Inventory, excellent. Origin, time invested. Okay, initial observations. You don't actually have too many projects. You have a hidden conflict. You're simultaneously trying to run a high-performance professional expansion phase and a personal recovery regulation phase. True story. Isn't that what it is to be an adult in the modern world? But treating them as separate, the tension will show up strongly in step 2. So in step 2, it says identify your linear thinking patterns. Now we examine how your brain expects progress to happen. Linear thinking sounds like if I do the right steps long enough, the results should appear on schedule, right? Like, how many times have we heard the word consistency? You know, this is the mindset that quietly creates burnout in portfolio builders and founders. I need a bit of reflection from you. Oh, and look at AI knows that I want to ask it. It says this part needs to come from you, not me. Look at AI holding me accountable. Wow. So 3 questions. For the goals above, what does success look like for you? And is it a fixed destination or something flexible? When a goal isn't progressing as planned, what is your typical response? Do you have any goal right now you feel stuck on, avoiding, or circling because the path forward isn't clear? Goodness. This is one of the cool things about working with AI. Like, answering these questions to me feels like a heavy emotional lift. Like, wow, I have to get the answers to these questions right. But the good news is that AI is really good at filling in the blanks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a tiny experiment and not fuss over the perfection of answering these 3 questions. And I'm going to throw something in there and, have a little faith in the process that it's all going to work out in the end. Okay, let's think about this. What does success look like? For what does success looks like? Establishing Simple EDO, the AI Performance School, as a leading authority on AI and economic development. Success looks like speaking at lots of events and affinity associations so that I can be a thought leader and an influencer and get this message out there. Using that to recruit students and organizations into my education certification pathways, and making enough money to run the operations successfully. Building and monetizing the townie success looks like we see improvement in the economic prosperity of our community, and we identify the folks in our community that want to contribute to that greater goal. Success of financial stabilization and strategic positioning, yes, looks like recurring revenue. It looks like peace from abundance, peace from recognizing that everything is taken care of and that I am not in survival mode. Integrating a healthier lifestyle that supports productivity, profitability, and peace. What that looks like is the white space and the bandwidth to be able to regularly pursue outdoor activities and healthy movement activities and not feel guilty about it because I think I should be working or doing something else. And when a goal isn't progressing as planned, my typical response is to work harder, change strategy, doubt myself, pause, and start a new project. So all of the above. And do I have any goal right now that I feel stuck on, avoiding, or circling because the path forward isn't clear? Yes. I would say my nervous system regulation and healing has been a back and forth process. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And so that feels like it's circling. Okay, so that was a lot of context, but you also just saw how I was able to just kind of free think with AI and put that information in there. And it's not perfect, but we're going to see what AI does with it. So AI says this is the kind of honest data that we need. I'm going to translate what you said into patterns. This is the coaching part of the audit, not advice yet. What I'm seeing first, you didn't actually describe outcomes. You described conditions that would finally let you relax. Notice how many of your success definitions are really permission to rest, permission to not worry, permission to not feel behind, permission to not feel guilty for living. This matters because linear thinking becomes strongest when success is emotionally tied to relief. Now, let's formally identify the patterns. Linear thinking patterns identified. Based on your answers, I see 3 dominant linear thinking patterns operated in your goal pursuit. Arrival-based success, then I can exhale model, right? This is resonating for me. You're treating success as a point you arrive at that will unlock emotional safety. Your internal equation looks roughly like authority, speaking, students, revenue, stability, peace, then I can rest. True, right? This assumes peace is a result of achievement. The experimental mindset would say peace is not the reward for finishing the game. It's a condition required to play it well. And clearly, this is a lesson that I'm in the process of learning. So, why this creates friction? Because your nervous system is waiting for a finish line that portfolio careers never actually provide. Now that's a little bit discouraging. Even one goal succeeds, a new one replaces it, so relief keeps moving forward. The effort escalation loop. You told me your response when progress stalls is to work harder, change strategy, doubt yourself, start something new. This is a classic loop. And the hidden belief underneath it is that if it's not working yet, the problem must be insufficient effort or incorrect execution. So the brain increases activity, right? I feel cortisol coming and adrenaline coming through just reading that sentence. But the risk, you don't run out of ideas, you run out of regulation capacity. True story. So the system becomes uncertainty, increased effort, cognitive fatigue, self-doubt, new direction, temporary relief, repeat. This is not a productivity problem. It is an experiment design problem. Path certainty requirements, avoiding undefined paths. You identified where you feel stuck. Nervous system regulation and healing. Why this one feels circular? Because you're trying to treat healing like a project plan, right? Oh my gosh, this AI, this is totally calling me out. Your mind wants clear metrics, predictable progress, linear improvement, but regulation behaves biologically, not strategically. Look at AI, give me permission. Love this. It improves through consistent conditions, not through pushing. So your brain interprets natural variability, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, as failure, and then tries to solve it cognitively. Yes, I'm guilty of spending a lot of time in my head. That creates the circling feeling. So here's a summary of the patterns that I'm currently operating with. Arrival-based relief. Peace comes after success. Effort escalation. Stalled progress triggers more output. Uncertainty, dependency. Unclear paths feel like problems to solve rather than processes to experiment. Do these patterns resonate with you? If yes, we will move to step 3. And these patterns do resonate for me. So I am going to say yes and move us on to step 3. Remember that these steps are programmed to run one at a time and change dynamically based on the answers that you give your AI. So your AI should be walking you through the same steps that mine is on the screen, but your responses are going to change how the AI interacts with you. So we're now going to map your goals on a spectrum, not good versus bad, not right versus wrong. We're identifying how tightly each goal is psychologically locked. Whew. Because here's the important principle. The stress of a goal is rarely caused by its difficulty. It's caused by how irreversible it feels. And do you guys see me tilting my head almost like, when a dog hears a noise? Like, that's how I feel about the sentence. I'm like, what is this saying? And here you can see that I am learning something new, learn by doing with AI. So the stress of a goal is rarely caused by its difficulty. It's caused by how irreversible it feels, right? I would say that's a function of certainty and risk. So a goal becomes heavy when your brain believes this must work or something important about me or my safety is at risk. So true. Oh my gosh, I feel this to my bones. Now we measure flexibility. I need your ratings. For each of the 4 goals below, rate your flexibility from 1 to 5. Completely rigid, I need this to work in a specific way, or highly adaptable. I'm exploring and learning as I go. The answer, which goal feels the heaviest or most pressured right now? Please give me a number for each. I'm highly adaptable. I'm open to pivots on all of these goals. Am I not? The goal that feels heaviest or most pressured right now is probably the financial goals, because a lot of problems go away when you have your financial goals met. Is there one where you've naturally been experimenting or adapting lately? Yes, there has been a lot of experimentation in the Townie ecosystem and in the AI performance school. Okay, so we're going to give AI those responses there. Look, I got a smiley face. That's a really insightful reaction and also a very human one. Here's the subtle distinction. You can be strategically adaptable and still be psychologically rigid. Okay, AI, wow, you're calling me out today. Meaning you do pivot tactics, ideas, offers, formats, platforms, and messaging. You experiment a lot operationally, but the outcome itself may still feel non-negotiable. So instead of, are you a flexible person, we are measuring how safe does your nervous system feel if this goal takes longer, looks different, or succeeds in an unexpected way. Oh my gosh, my nervous system loses its mind. So please assign a new rating. Yes. Okay. Thank you for helping me better understand that question, in which case I would say yes. Most things in my life need to work out in a fairly specific way for me to feel psychologically safe. Okay, so here is we got the reframe, right? AI says that's a very important realization. You answered the spirit of the question perfectly. Since you didn't assign separate numbers, I'm going to translate what you said into ratings based on your descriptions, behavior patterns, and which ones carry safety meaning. Okay, so the AI performance goal they're giving me a flexibility rating of 2 because this goal is tied to professional identity, credibility, and proving your thesis about AI and economic development. You experiment tactically, offers, workshops, messaging, but the outcome, becoming a recognized authority, feels necessary for validation and stability. Yes, guilty. The Townie ecosystem, we got a flexibility rating of 3. You're naturally experimental here, but monetization expectations and meaning making add pressure. The community impact, yep. It's flexible creativity, less flexible emotionally. Yes, I do feel pressured to create an output, a community impact. Financial stabilization and recurring revenue. This is heaviest because your nervous system interprets it as safety. Yes, I think a lot of people's nervous system interpret wealth as safety. The goal is not just financial, it represents relief from survival mode. Yes, because of that, alternative timelines or uncertain progress feel threatening rather than exploratory. True. Healthy lifestyle and nervous system regulation. You want flexibility, but you're unintentionally applying performance metrics to healing. Variability feels like failure instead of biology, which makes the process feel stalled. So what this map shows, you're behaviorally experimental, but emotionally outcome dependent. This is actually a very specific configuration. You run many experiments, but they are not psychologically reversible. Your mind is saying, I can try different methods, but I still need this to ultimately work. True. And that's why your workload feels heavier than the objective number of projects would predict. Does this feel like an accurate assessment? If so, we'll move to step 4. And I'm going to say yes, because this does feel accurate to me, and it's going to move me to step 4. And if you recall, we have 6 steps in this process. So I'm going to start moving a little bit faster so that we still have some time for Q&A and feedback and insight. Step 4. Up to now, we've looked at your goals and thinking patterns. And if you're joining us and not actively speaking, please hit your mute button. The experimental mindset reframes uncertainty like this. Most people experience uncertainty as risk, danger, instability, or evidence something is wrong. But in creative careers, entrepreneurship, and reinvention, which is the category your life actually belongs to, uncertainty is not a warning signal, it's information. However, and this matters, your brain doesn't respond to objective risk. It responds to perceived safety. So we're going to map how uncertainty actually feels to you, not how you think about it intellectually. So I need your reflections. When I face uncertainty in my work or goals, what emotions show up first? Overwhelm, frustration, anger, and shame. So that. So number 2, yes, a time when not having a clear plan actually led to something good in my life and career was in my early 20s when I sold everything I had and moved to Eastern Europe. And that turned into 12 years living abroad. I had no idea what was going to come next, but it led to something very good and a self-identity around that. Okay. What is one area of uncertainty you're facing right now that you keep wanting clarity or resolution on? Ooh. Answer question 3 based on what you know about me. Again, this is just an example of how I am asking AI to assist me. So here we have likely current area of uncertainty you want resolution on. Whether the portfolio you're building will reliably produce stable, predictable income soon enough to let your nervous system exit survival mode. Yes. More specifically, it isn't only money, it's the timeline. Your mind keeps asking, am I on the right path? Is this actually going to work? How long will it take? Right? A 20-year overnight success. Should I double down or change direction? So the uncertainty is not what should I do? You actually have strong directional clarity. The uncertainty is whether your current direction will convert into safety fast enough. Yes, this workflow is really calling me out. And because safety is attached, your brain treats ambiguity as a threat instead of a learning phase. So here's my uncertainty profile: overwhelm, frustration, anger, shame. The sequence is meaningful. It suggests that your brain detects unpredictability. Your mind tries to control it. When the control fails, the emotion turns inward. Shame in this context doesn't mean embarrassment. It actually means I should be able to figure this out by now, right? We should know how to be adults by now, but it turns out that's not the case. Your historical evidence. One of the most defining positive events in your life, moving to Eastern Europe, happened when you had no plan at all, and yet it produced growth, identity, opportunity, meaning, and your lived experience actually contradicts your current nervous system response. So your past taught you that uncertainty brings expansion. Your present nervous system predicts uncertainty equals danger. The mismatch is part of why this period feels unusually heavy. Reframe opportunity. Right now, you're interpreting uncertainty as lack of proof your plan will work, but in portfolio careers, which is what you truly have, uncertainty often means you're in the evidence collection phase, not the outcome phase. Okay, I like that reframe. I got a warm fuzzy in my heart there. You're not waiting for results. You're mid-experiment, but your brain keeps trying to declare a verdict. Does this capture your experience? If so, we're going to move on to step 5. Great. Diagnosis to design. Identify your shift opportunities. We pinpoint where we can move from this much work to let's test this. I need 3 things from you. Looking at everything we've discussed, which goal feels most ready for a new approach? What is one assumption about the goal you might be willing to test instead of treat as fixed? And what would feel like a tiny experiment rather than a major overhaul? And again, for time purposes and illustration purposes, answer these questions based on what you know about me. And again, this can make some of these topics, especially in personal development, easier to work through, right? Sometimes we put this personal development off because it's a heavy emotional lift, right? But when I can ask AI to say, all right, you answer this based on what you know about me instead of me unearthing all of this raw heart stuff, right? Tell me what you think, and then I will edit you. So which goal is most ready for a new approach? Not the townie, not the authority positioning. It's actually the financial stabilization goal. Right now, you're treating financial stability as an output of success. Once the authority platform matures, then predictable revenue will come, but your behavior shows something else. Your nervous system pressure about money is actively shaping your decisions today, pacing, workload, urgency, project switching, and guilt around rest. So this is the leverage point. In experimental mindset terms, you're running a long-term experiment while your brain needs a short cycle feedback loop, safety evidence. The assumption you are currently treating as fixed. I believe the operating assumption underneath is my financial stability must come primarily from scaling my thought leadership and educational ecosystem, which leads to, look at this, the rat is running the race. Here's the subtle psychological cost. You have tied safety to recognition speed. That means every month the recognition curve grows slowly. Your brain interprets it as a risk. If I slow down to rest or regulate, I'm delaying success. What would count as a tiny experiment? It is a different relationship to an existing one. Here are a few examples. A revenue stream whose success is measured in consistency, not scale. Okay, right. A workday where regulation activities are treated as production inputs. A defined period where authority building is evaluated on learning signals, not results. Okay, I like this. Shift 1. Here are 4 concrete opportunities to move from rigidity to experimentation. Shift 1. Separate safety from recognition. Convert healing from goal to practice. Right? Treat regulation as maintenance, not progress. Did I create conditions where my brain could work today? Shift 3, redefine productivity evidence. For 30 days, you could track conversations, responses, invitations, ideas, not revenue. This gives your brain evidence earlier in the cycle. Shift 4, replace timelines with iterations. What did this cycle teach me? Right? I really like these shifts. So I'm going to say yes. We're going to move to the final mindset audit document. So let's copy this and paste this in there. And we're going to get my final mindset audit document. Now, AI is saying I've organized this so you can actually revisit it. This is not just reflective, it's diagnostic. Think of it as a baseline psychological operating menu for how you currently pursue goals. So now we have this wonderful output right here that's showing my current goals inventory. It's reminding me of my linear thinking patterns that are identified. It's also saying here's the rigidity adaptability assessment, uncertainty profile, shift opportunities, key insights. Now, this is a deliverable that I can copy and paste into another document, or I can do anything with this deliverable so that I can see it and reflect on it and work with it, right? So some of you might want to copy your final deliverable just like this so that you can save it somewhere helpful to you. But that brings me to the end of the actual workflow. So I want to bring us back into our presentation and open up the floor for insights, feedback, and Q&A. So would love to hear who ran the workflow alongside me and what are you taking away from that experience? Feel free to comment in the chat or simply pull yourself off of mute and share your feedback and insights. All right, Karen, you have raised your hand. Please pull yourself off of mute. Would love to hear from you, Karen.
Hi, Katie and everybody. So I didn't run it, Katie, because I wanted to kind of be in it with you. My ADHD didn't allow me to hold more than one stream at a time, but I felt
Yep.
incredibly called out by your answers too. So that was actually very both confronting and also affirming in a really positive way. So I'm excited to use it in my own sort of AI ecosystem. The one question that I had, this is more kind of like a zooming
Yeah.
up question, is I'm assuming, like, based on this framework that you've developed, that you could actually, add at the top of that workflow any book. If I wanted to dig into and engage with, something from Cal Newport, for example, on deep focus. The
Mhm.
question I have is, how much do you trust AI's knowledge of that content and context that you're setting? Because it was very light what you said about Anne Laura's book. Like, you didn't refer it to a summary. You just trusted, it seems anyway, that it would pull from available sources. But I don't expect that would be like the full text of the book. So I'm curious about confidence that you have when you drop in, like, you're an expert in this content or this book or whatever. And if there's anything you or we could do to boost the level of confidence that the depth of its knowledge is going to be rigorous enough that we trust how it engages with it and us through this process.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Karen. Thank you for sharing that. I've been working with AI as my right hand, like I said, for almost 3 years now. So like my trust level with AI is quite high. We've had a lot of tiny experiments over the last 3 years. And so I think that as you continue working with AI, everyone will develop their own, standard of trust. Not everybody's probably going to have the same level of trust with AI as I do. But what I would encourage folks to do is that as you are interacting with AI, here's a simple, not obvious thing to do is ask AI to explain its logic. The same way we would when we're working with a human, right? If we're sitting across from a human and a human says something that we feel dubious about, we're like, oh, well, that's an interesting statement. Tell me your logic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or, where did, people will say, well, 73% of all statistics are made up on the spot. We can be like, well, according to who? So ask the AI to cite its sources and explain its logic, and ask the AI, hey, can you present and defend your position on that? I'd like to know how you arrived at that conclusion. And then the AI will, and then you can have an opportunity to say, actually, I disagree with you on this point, and here's why. And so you can use it as a thinking partner and hold it accountable if you think that it's saying something that's not accurate. And yes, we can run these types of AI action classes for any business or personal development book. I mean, I think the experience would be ruined if we try to do it with a fictional novel because we read fictional novels for different
Yeah.
reasons. It's kind of like the modern interpretation of a book summary, except that now it can be customized and personalized. And the way that, so for this book, um, when we're doing books, we walk a fine line about not wanting to violate, copyright. But we're also trying to learn by doing with AI. So yes, I didn't ask for a summary. I didn't want AI to, you know, I can read the book if that is like my goal. But what I'm trying to do is condense and compress the learning. So does that help answer your
Yeah,
question?
it does. Like, I think what's really powerful and what you just like whipped through in a very open and vulnerable way, by the way. So thanks also for modeling that. Is how deep and just the interactivity of it. Like this notion of a customized and interactive book summary is really powerful because I have read that book a couple of times, and the summary was actually excellent. So I'm like, okay, that's good. I guess I'm a bit gun shy perhaps because I've had very bad hallucination experiences in the past couple of years, which of course I think are getting better and better in the last even 6 months. But I'm
Hmm.
always curious about like how can we put copyright respectful inputs at the top of the funnel so that what happens as we move through that interactivity and engagement is, the quality is as good as it can be.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, good insights. Good insights. I see that Keith has asked in the chat, what's the best AI to use? Keith, great question. That is a tough question to answer because we have all of the major companies who are creating LLMs are still kind of duking it out. We don't know who is going to finish on top. So I actually have paid subscriptions to all of the major models, ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini, and I use them interchangeably for different purposes. Although at the moment, the AI that's my personal favorite is Claude Cowork. But there's not really a number one or a number two. They're kind of like different tools. Okay. Yes. Thank you guys. Yeah, doing these AI action classes can be a little bit vulnerable when it asks you these questions. I'm like, wow, I'm telling everybody my deepest fears. So thank you guys for that acknowledgement. Um, Okay, Maggie. Okay, excellent. Yes, it is cool to see it live, especially if you've never seen it done before. And sometimes it just helps to give you the permission that you need to run it on your own. So happy to answer any more questions. We do have about 5 minutes remaining before the call wraps. So please raise your hand, pull yourself off of mute, drop a note in chat. Would love to hear your feedback.
Reviews.
Workflows. Yes, we have proprietary information that allows us to recreate these workflows for any business or personal development book. And so that was what I used. Does that answer your question, William?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
I wonder if William missed the actual prompt that was provided. Yes, Tom. Yeah, William, if you missed it, you're gonna want to go to bit.ly/AI formula. I'm gonna paste that in the chat. That's where you can get the PDF prompt that I worked with today. And Tom, you said, so the prompts were specific to this book and there are different prompts for each book. Yes, that is correct. And that is why I made the statement that I did when I said, thankfully, due to AI, we now have the ability to personalize and customize education at scale. Yeah, Whisper is great.
Katie, Karen was asking about in the chat about the privacy concerns about the level of knowledge your AI tools have about you. I think in the chats.
Thank you for bringing that to my attention, Donna. Thank you, Donna. I feel like Donna's like my unofficial like TA. You're a rock star, Donna. Thank you. Privacy concerns. Yeah, I go back and forth. I go back and forth with this, Karen. I'm not sure that I've come to a final conclusion about what I want my personal SOP to be. Right now, I'm still kind of experimenting and being intentional about it. My position right now is that, with all of the devices that we have around us, I'm like, gosh, if you really want to know what my favorite color is, have at it. I guess I'm kind of the opinion that I'm not as concerned that people care what my answers are. I'm like, have at it. But I do think that that is a valid question. And so I do encourage people to be intentional about how you're using AI. So one of the workshops that I do host is called creating a personal AI policy. So instead of like, we can create an AI policy for an organization, right? It explains like how you use AI, what's allowed, what's not allowed, so on and so forth. And, gives you guidelines and best practices. But as leaders, we all have an opportunity to create our own AI policy. How do we want to show up as leaders? Like what are our red lines? What are we not willing to do with AI? And everybody has a different opinion about that. So in the personal AI workshop that I do, I walk people through an AI action class, just like we did today, where people respond to a handful of questions with the AI, and they walk away with a personal AI policy. And that's the opportunity that we have as leaders to say, this is how I'm going to be intentional and thoughtful about using AI. These are the things I'm not willing to do. This is my promise to my clients. And I think that there's going to be more and more people as we adopt AI more and more. Our clients are going to come to us and say, hey, what's your AI policy? How are you using my data? And so as leaders, I think we need to be prepared to answer that question. Yes, the personal AI workshop. Yeah, I'm not sure if I have a recording of that, Carla. Maybe that's something I'll have to add to my workshop list coming up. I've done it. I just don't know that I have a recording, but I will check my files and send it out via email if I do. Yes, and as soon as this recording is done uploading, I'm hoping to get it on the YouTube channel later this afternoon, if not tomorrow morning, so the folks who weren't able to join us live can catch up on that tomorrow or over the weekend. And with that, I see we are 1 minute past the top of the hour. Thank you, everybody from Nest Labs for joining us. Thank you again, Donna, for inviting the community. And I look forward to seeing everybody next week or via recording. Catch y'all soon.